So my channel name and copious Mario content plus the title of this video definitely equals a considerable subtraction in the credibility of the claim based on who it's coming from, i.e. a 24-year-old who's clearly got a huge affinity for the Mario franchise. Real talk, I think you can make an argument with what I'm about to discuss, but I'm not gonna deny all this fanboy gushing and insanely high expectations and talk is coming from a big Mario fan. So it's the question, exactly how credible would this claim be if it came from someone not as big on Mario, right? But besides that obvious caveat going into this discussion, the Mario movie, shaping up to be a very promising, entertaining adaptation of the Super Mario franchise, with how much fan service and how much solid character and personality is on display across multiple fronts. And I've said this across two separate discussions on the movie itself, but I am fully anticipating this film to be a massive phenomenon, bigger than what most people are going to anticipate. Bold claims and big predictions aren't new for this channel, and more times than otherwise I've been wrong than right, or even unproven / sitting in limbo than either wrong or right. But as far as the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I completely believe this is a film that's going to catch on with major influences and leave a major impact for more than just Mario fans specifically. Imagine if this was coming from someone more casual of a Mario fan. Played Galaxy or Odyssey or something, a couple 2D games, maybe a Mario Party here or a Mario Kart there, and that's about it. Say I love God of War or Uncharted much more compared to Mario. Okay, I do unironically really like Uncharted, but my point is, imagine the discussion is touted by a non-Mario fanboy. Would it be that much harder to buy the idea? I feel like it wouldn't be by any huge margin. Spinning this to the opposite spectrum of Mario fans, let's get this out of the way and say this is obviously a huge deal and will likely be a huge hit across the vast majority of Mario fans. A lot of this is going with the assumption the movie will be fantastic as well, but with how much universal praise and excitement millions of gamers and non-gamers are expressing across 2 trailers and a 1.5-minute tease of the movie, it's safe to say the vast sum are sharing that same assumption, ranging anywhere between cautious optimism at worst and incredible excitement with immense, overjoyed anticipation at best. At least speaking for me right now, even with my mildly average stance towards Chris Pratt as Mario and warming up to his portrayal every peek at the movie we get, literally every single other thing about this movie thus far is something I am completely on board with, loving, adoring, and or eager to see how it plays out. Mario fans are eating up borderline everything the Mario movie's doing so far, for obvious reasons. But this can also extend further whether or not we add hardcore Mario fans. My first major bullet to why I believe it'll be a phenomenon on a huge scale is the sheer mass appeal this movie's catering towards. Take the hardcore Mario fans, for example. Even in just the 1.5-minute teaser we got at the Game Awards, where it's just Mario and Toad perusing through Toad Town to get to Peach's castle, there's a literal, non-metaphoric treasure trove of Easter eggs and nods to the Mario games, from the dozens of visual references and nods to even the soundtrack for the movie, just in that singular clip alone. I'm not even factoring the 2 previous trailers yet. So much stuff that most Mario fans that have played many Mario games from even a couple years straight will immediately pick up on. Adding the other 2 trailers in the equation, and you have some of the largest amount of fan service for Mario fans you'll ever see. Plenty that is easy to spot and pick up on for most people. Floating blocks, pipes, the power star, the power-ups, etc. But also a lot of fan service that's for the most part subtle enough and not so in your face for your average moviegoer to catch on. The Cheep Bridge, Mario, Toad, and Peach are on in the second trailer, for example. Any average moviegoer or casual Mario fan will think, oh, it's your standard beach/water level type of location, and that is true. But anyone who's played Super Mario Bros. 1 will likely know that's basically level 2-3 from that game. Something more subtle being the background rocks largely resembling the aesthetic of Sparkling Waters from New Super Mario Bros. U as well. That, or again, the soundtrack the movie has, incorporating tracks from Mario 1, Mario 3, Mario World, Mario 64, New Super Mario Bros., etc. already. Me and thousands of others have already spotted and or gone over the vast slew of Easter eggs and references at this point already. Even now, between the second trailer and the Mushroom Kingdom clip, I'm still finding new stuff. The part where Peach walks towards Bowser's castle in the distance, there are trees in the foreground resembling the bell trees from Super Mario 3D World, the antique shop in the teaser, a blue toad's going through a barrel of 8-bit axes, the axe from Super Mario Bros. 1 that Mario chops the bridge off to drop Bowser in the lava. The treasure chests in the shop also have potions from Super Mario Bros. 2, but you get my point. There's a strong balance of fan service with this movie to where there's so much for Mario fans, Mario Kart fans, and even Donkey Kong Country fans and Yoshi's Island fans that this movie's heavily catering to these and the overall Mario franchise so heavily, it's going to warm up to that hardcore crowd. But again, even to casual Mario fans or casual moviegoers, this is still likely going to catch the eyes and hearts of millions regardless. There are many adults, young, middle-aged, senior, etc. that grew up with Mario 1, World, 3, 64, Kart, Party, etc. that they may not play Mario or video games nearly as much these days. They likely still go out to watch movies. They may spot this and will have a much easier time buying a ticket to peep it out. And assuming all the marketing meets those expectations, casual moviegoers will also like this movie plenty too, and will recommend it to other like-minded folk, whether not following Mario anymore, or those who might even just want a fun, animated family movie. The movie is also scoring a plausible benefit of getting those older people back into gaming or Mario, maybe picking up a Switch, picking up some Mario games on it, whether Odyssey, 3D World, 3D All-Stars Out in the Wild, New Super U, Mario Kart, etc. This movie 100% is going to encourage young, brand new Mario fans to get parents to buy all of that as well and start following Mario more closely. Both these likely cases following an IP that already has dozens of millions of fans following it religiously anyways, even just specifically on 2D Mario, 3D Mario, and or Mario Kart alone. It's already going to snag dozens of millions of supporters and watchers because, knock on wood, we're talking Super Mario, but for being gaming's Mickey Mouse, Mario has such a wide-ass appeal and is one of the absolute most iconic gaming and fictional characters ever, that so many non-gamers and normal movie enjoyers know who Mario is just by sheer name. Even the voice casting the movie has will give another solid appeal for average moviegoers, gaming fan or not, because millions who enjoy movies know Chris Pratt, millions know Jack Black, Seth Rogen, Charlie Day, etc., akin to how millions know Mario, Donkey Kong, and such. This is also an Illumination film, and millions of people, and especially families, eat up Illumination films regardless of their quality as well. They perform incredibly well. So across multiple avenues of both casual and hardcore appeal that will likely provide multiple effects and attractions as a result, this movie has an unbelievably wide amount of appeal already to believe it's going to catch on and explode at the box office. The second bullet point to why I have that much faith as well, this is arguably my biggest point in this discussion, is tying in the first reason being its insane appeal. It will have a humongous cultural impact on some level, also based on precedence. Again, casual and hardcore people of either movies or Mario are going to find several reasons to go out and watch this movie. But another reason I believe a palpable cultural impact is possible is this. How many times did Mario set a standard? Whenever people who play and people within the gaming industry think 2D platformers / 2D adventure games, over 9 times out of 10, they think Super Mario Bros. Even just the first game is one of the absolute best sold video games of all time, and factoring Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, New Super Mario Bros., and New Super Mario Bros. Wii, that only supports the idea. Whenever people think 3D adventures, but especially 3D platformers, people think Mario. Super Mario 64 was always that standard that set 3D platformers and 3D adventure games going forward across numerous franchises, indie and AAA. Even non-platformers like Kingdom Hearts, for example, took direct influence from Mario 64. And millions still mark Mario 64 as one of the most influential games of all time for good reason, on top of Mario 64 being a good game still today. That's not even mentioning how well Super Mario Galaxy did and was received, same more so for Super Mario Odyssey and such. 3D Mario as a whole doesn't make nearly as much numbers as 2D Mario, but it definitely makes as big of a splash across more hardcore gamers who enjoy the hobby. Whenever people think racing games, Mario Kart is literally the only single racing game most people think of because of how popular and consistent that series is. Most Mario Karts are among some of the best sold racing games and multiplayer games of all time, with particularly Mario Kart Wii and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe also being amongst some of the best sold video games of all time. Even the original Mario Kart 8 on Wii U, in spite of how poorly that system sold significantly well regardless, and was about in line with half of the rest of the series anyways. Whenever people think party games or couch multiplayers, Mario Kart's still one of them, but another one is also Mario Party, another consistent, well-sold, critically acclaimed series that catches on to both casual and hardcore gamers everywhere. Mario Party is another common choice most think of whenever people have gatherings and hangouts, actually throwing parties, or want to chill with a fun multiplayer board game for a couple hours. Even on the opposite spectrum to where it's a detriment, the original live-action Mario movie set the standard, ironically, of the video game movie curse, where most game adaptations to film aren't that good nor faithful to the source material. It's not the first game movie ever, but many for the longest time pointed to that movie as the standard of bad video game adaptations over 2 decades. But whether or not you factor that movie as a standard in this discussion, Mario set the standard for 2D platformers with Super Mario Bros. And multiple 2D entries within that branch. He did it again for 3D games with Mario 64, and then again with Mario Kart for racing games and multiplayers, and then again with Mario Party with party games and again multiplayers, a lot of which factors towards and is supported by Mario's popularity, iconography, and consistent quality output. And with everything the Mario movie's doing thus far, it's not unreasonable to suspect this new Super Mario Bros. Movie will do the same. And reason 2 can also tie with reason 3, in that another reason to suspect the potentially massive success and impact of the movie is comparisons to its quote-unquote competition. It's not directly competing with the movies I'm going to talk about, but Detective Pikachu is a Pokemon live-action movie that performed and was received well upon release. One thing with that film, however, is despite its positive reception and tie to the biggest multimedia franchise ever, not only did it not necessarily break records or do insane at the box office, but after roughly a month-ish or so, maybe a little less, discussion and talks surrounding that movie just flat out died. It came and went, and that was basically it. So to be fair, there is always that chance the Mario movie will go about the same or a similar fashion, but between the strong marketing, mass appeal, and impact Mario's had on the public, and for far longer than Pokémon, I feel like there is some reason to doubt that from happening. There are also the Sonic the Hedgehog movies, one performing also solidly and breaking positive, with Sonic 2 performing even better and generally being more well received. Both movies regardless still reaping a solid reaction from most viewers and Sonic fans, and both these adaptations, Detective Pikachu and the Sonic films, being video game adaptations of popular, iconic properties, leaning more towards the faithful, well-received, enjoyable, and beloved side than the opposite side of the coin, that people tend to say where most video game to film adaptations fall. Sonic 2 in particular also being claimed by some, mainly me, as what should be the standard for the game films. And I do still hold to my original idea of that and Sonic 2 being a great film, but I'll put it like this. Assuming the Mario movie will be that great, if Sonic 2 should be the standard, then the Mario movie is the golden standard. It's a very safe assumption Mario's gonna fall in the same camp as those 3 movies, but I don't think it's unrealistic to think it could go farther and outperform those films in both grossing and overall reception. Just look at how popular and insanely hot the marketing's been for the trailers and info dumps thus far. With each trailer drop, there's constant buzz surrounding it lasting multiple weeks, the worst of it largely pertaining to just Chris Pratt because everything else beyond that was a ton of high praise and love. The animation on every character, the squash and stretch, how expressive every single character is, how charming and full of emotion everyone is, every character's designs, every character's personality, the music, the writing, the slapstick, the story and general narrative even, with Peach traveling with Mario, Luigi being kidnapped by Bowser's Koopa Troop, and more, the seeds for many lore-accurate events that have happened in plenty of Mario, Yoshi, and Donkey Kong games, the absolutely stunning visuals and CGI, the potential of it all, and the overall Mario cinematic universe, and most of the voice cast still. The Mario movie's basically doing borderline everything most people would want out of a high-budget, great, video game adaptation thus far, and it's firing on so many cylinders, it's wild it took this long to get to this point. The first trailer on Illumination's own YouTube channel got over 15 million views from 3 months ago, the second trailer with 16 million, and the sneak peek teaser clip with over 4 million, and each time, tons of people, Mario and non-Mario fan, were analyzing and talking to death about the movie for a good long while, more than a month at a time. Plus, McDonald's toy marketing, Nintendo's own directs showing off trailers, and those directs ranging from over 6 million to the first one to over 3 million in the second. A few commercials out already, the casting announcements over a year ago where that was another month-long, 2-month-long hot topic. Like, the marketing and PR surrounding the movie since last October has been incredibly strong, and that momentum is totally going to carry over to April. Even beyond Mario fans, we know this is going to be one of the most talked about things all of April. The entire month, and maybe even a little past it into May, especially if it winds up being as fantastic of a film as most people are hoping it to be, as it seems to be shaping up to be. Look at Puss in Boots. People are still talking about the Last Wish, but that movie was pretty baller. And while Pokemon and Sonic are trendsetters in their own way, Mario setting a trend like this wouldn't be that far-fetched either. Not only that, it can also be used as a major motivator for more gaming companies and film studios to produce more video game adaptive films. Nintendo's very likely to continue this field and produce more Mario movies and animations, eventually Zelda, Donkey Kong, Metroid and such. We might see more companies like Microsoft, Sony, Ubisoft, Square Enix, and more have even a marginal interest in seeing if any of their IPs could deliver in movie form as well, given Mario is often referred as a series that in most cases wouldn't be able to do it effectively prior to the trailers we got. I would not be surprised if we saw more and more game adaptations over the coming years trying to take a crack at being great, faithful interpretations of various characters and worlds we've played over the years. And especially if they use the Mario movie as a basis/template for that inspiration, just like Mario 1 was for 2D gaming, 64 for 3D, Mario Kart for racing, Party for party games, and so on. But yeah, even if you subtracted my own bias, the movie's appeal is vast, broad, layered, and is catering to a wide amount of different kinds of people. Mario's absolutely no stranger to serving as the golden standard/example for plenty of industries and public palates, and with everything the movie's doing so far, it can easily serve as another golden standard. Millions upon millions of people are adoring it, hyping it up, keeping an eye out for it. It's warming up to being what people have wanted out of either a great video game movie or a good Mario film for literal decades. Its marketing's really strong, it's tied to one of the biggest fictional properties of all time, and if other recent game films are any indicators for gross earnings, critical reception, and influences for future projects down the line, the Mario movie stands a good chance on achieving around the best results on all of these fronts. I can very easily be wrong, and this goes out on a lukewarm whimper like Detective Pikachu, despite plenty of logic to assume the same for that, but I'll be a little surprised if the Mario movie doesn't outperform either of those three films I mentioned earlier, nor if we don't start seeing more pushes and suggestions for more video game adaptations at that point. A little food for thought. Let me know your thoughts, stance, and reasons in the comments. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch and listen to my content. Plenty more Mario content to come, but until then, stay super.
Yo! Hey! Man! Hey! 过来呀！